All right, y'all. Are you ready to dive in to this week's webinar? Hello, everybody. I am Melanie Shop, your SNHU 07 Learning Community Gal, and I absolutely love seeing all these different majors and that you guys are from all over the US. It's just absolutely incredible to have everybody here in this one space, which I absolutely love. Tonight's session is recorded. Just a reminder, I have started the recording, and I'm going to pop my camera on just real fast. Hello, everybody. I wanted to say hi. I will shut it off during this session just because I have to have my cell phone out too so I can see the chat. When I share my screen, I can't see all the things. So I have multiple things happening, but I wanted to make sure you guys saw my face. I am just so excited y'all are here, and I am just so proud of you for taking this time to invest in you. And I sure hope you've had a good time and a good term. These next couple of weeks are going to go fast, but y'all are going to do so well. So let's dive in. First and foremost, your experience here at Southern New Hampshire University is important to us. It's our policy and practice to create an inclusive and accessible learning environment. If there are aspects of instruction or course design that present barriers to accessibility, please notify the Online Accessibility Center, the OAC, as soon as possible at 866-305-9430. You can also email them at oac@snhu.edu or visit the Online Accessibility Center website. As a reminder, the Online Accessibility Center team is here to help you as a student get information in a way that works best for you. So just remember that if you have questions about this or want to know more, please reach out to this team. Couple webinar reminders. You guys are like pros at webinars now, I feel like. You don't need a microphone or camera. You just need to be able to hear me. So everybody can hear me, right? I just wanted to make sure I could do a really quick sound check. These webinars, as you guys know, are offered in both an on-demand, which is those recorded sessions that are available every Monday of every week, and then the live format. So this is the last live session for the term, and I will have the recording posted within 24 hours. This is an academic space, so always be mindful of your conduct, and just know that these webinars, they're not mandatory. There's no grades associated with them, no extra credit points, but I sure hope that you have learned something from them when you've watched them, that you have enjoyed them, and maybe have had a little bit of fun. So have you all been watching the webinars from week to week? Are you finding them helpful? They're easy to find, they're easy to navigate. That is some of the biggest things that we want to make sure here at SNHU is that they're easy for you guys to access, that they're helpful in showing you guys the assignments from week to week. And it's just really important that we have that feedback from you. So there will be a survey that goes out later today or tonight, I should say, in the learning community. It gets emailed out to you. So please take a minute when you can and make sure you take that for me. It's anonymous, but it just really helps us make sure these webinars are impactful for you and help you be successful. So how are we doing this week? How are you guys feeling? I feel like week 5 had a lot of assignments, right? Last week, you guys had that journal, a warm up, a discussion. And then this week, it's like you get a minute to breathe, right? Like, oh, I only have a journal, right? That's all I got. Am I missing something? Um, so with your guys' journal assignment, I just wanted to take a minute and just remind you that you have a template for this assignment. You can find it under Module 6, just like you found previous templates for your journal assignments in previous modules, okay? This week is centered around the topic of feedback. So with this, you want to really draw upon your own experiences, your views on feedback, past feedback situations. I think all of us can probably say that we have learned how to interact with others when we are given feedback that maybe isn't what we expect, right? I think as my students are starting to turn this in my class, I'm seeing a lot of students share about past experiences with feedback and how they've had to make some changes, and they're not alone with that, right? So just remember, as you utilize this template, make sure you answer all the questions, write in those complete sentences, and then go ahead and get your Module 6 journal template submitted for your success. Now, I saw a couple of questions in the chat that I just wanted to make sure that I took a moment to answer. One, just SNHU 107 and then a course called IDS 105 are the only classes as of right now at SNHU that have dedicated learning communities where there's webinars like this and videos, okay? The other question I saw is tonight we will be talking about the final project, but I wanted to make sure that I just talked about what is due here in week 6 so that you knew, like, I have a journal assignment here for week 6 because we're talking about the final project a whole week early, okay? So speaking of the final project or the academic success plan, I want to remind you all of what that project is worth. It's worth 250 points, which is a significant chunk of your grade if you map it out, right? The good news is that this project is really all about connecting the dots. It is all about what you have learned. You know, remember back in week 2, we talked about like things that interrupt our schedule, and we talked a lot about prioritizing our time. We think about those interruptions, our schedule, our priorities. So we're really just connecting those dots because back in week 4, you guys wrote an academic mission statement and short-term goals, right? So what you're doing for this project that you're going to turn in Module 7 is there's a template, which is awesome. You're going to open it up and you're going to type right in it and answering the questions just like you have done with previous journal assignments, but this one's just a little bit more lengthy. So I know I get a lot of questions about, well, if there's a question about schedules or interruptions or managing my time or my mission and goals, I already answered those. Can I use those again? The answer is yes, you can, but you want to make sure that you check your graded feedback from your instructor. For example, in Module 4, when you wrote your mission and 3 short-term goals, if you didn't have any changes, you copy and paste your mission and those 3 short-term goals just as they were from week 4 into week 7. Make sense? But some of you might have been missing some details, or maybe you had some updates or more details to share or some changes that you needed. You want to make sure that those things are made as you go through and answer the questions. Does that, I see that, Shalina, interruptions, children. Yes, I agree with that. I have 2 myself. So does that make sense so far on kind of the template for the project for Module 7? You're not starting from scratch. You're going to have a template. You're just going to open it up and answer the questions. And there's an example, which I'm going to go through with you guys tonight. So just as a reminder, trust the template. Utilize it and use your SNHU resources, which brings me to our very special guest for tonight. We have a very special guest from our SNHU Academic Support team. Allison Johnson is here with us tonight. And I always love when we get to have guest speakers in the webinars from other departments because you guys hear my voice all term. And I think it's wonderful to get to know some of these other departments and put a voice and a picture of what they look like for you guys so that you get to know them a little bit. So how this will work is I will be asking Allison some questions and then she will be answering them. We'll kind of go back and forth a little bit. And then when we get done with that, I'm going to take some time to go over that final project example so you know what yours should look like for next week in Module 7, okay? So some fun facts about Allison is that she used to teach high school English in a rural town that didn't even have a traffic light. Anybody else from one of those small little towns? I sure am, all the way in Iowa. She has been an academic advisor for online students, so she knows what it's like to work with students just like you who are taking online classes. She also loves to work with students who have been out of school for a while. Anybody here been out of school for a while? She has worked with many of you, and you are not alone. One of my favorite facts about Allison is she's a huge fan of stand-up comedy. She has a collection of old comedy records, which I think is absolutely incredible. And she's one of the many, many people that are here to help you. So we're going to dive into our very first question for tonight for Allison. Allison, how do these students find academic support?
Hey, And I don't mind coming on camera because we're on camera all the time. So I look different than my picture though. So that's always funny to come on because my hair is longer now. So this picture right here talks about how to find academic support. We are in all of your classes. If you go into your SNHU 107 class or any of your classes after this and go up to that top menu, click on that academic support tool that we have right there, that takes you into our academic support space. And then you have a whole menu of really awesome things that we're going to talk to you about. So it's really easy. There's a couple of other ways to access us as well. Sometimes you might see a pop-up as well, but this is the surefire way to find us. We're always right there in your class, and you can click on us to get into academic support.
Okay, Allison, this is always a big question for students. Like, is academic support only for SNHU 107? Can they utilize it in other classes? And then, like, what are the different options, these support options on this menu here? Like, what are they?
So we are not only for SNHU 107, we work with students in all of the classes, including graduate degrees. So if you go on and work on a graduate degree here, we can help support you in that area too. We have a bunch of different options because everybody, has a life and is busy and has different ways that they can different needs for support. And so I'm just going to walk through some of these. The 24/7 drop-in tutoring is just that. It's drop-in tutoring. It's done mostly through chat and a whiteboard. So it can be really helpful for mathematics, coding, things where you have a specific question, you need to get unstuck, and something that you can deal with through writing. There is a voice chat option. Not always is a tutor available for that, but that means any time of the day that you're working, you can connect with a drop-in tutor. And they're really best for those. I see the question about how long does it take for them to respond. Sometimes it's immediate and sometimes it takes a little bit of a connection. But in general, it's pretty quick. Depending on the topic and the question that you have. It might not always be the best option because if you have something that you might need to meet face-to-face with somebody about, talk a little bit about, we have the other options that have that more personalized touch where you can talk with somebody. Written feedback is really helpful if you just want to set a second set of eyes on it before your instructor takes a look at your assignment. So it would be really good for this upcoming assignment. What you do is you click on that, or from the top menu, you click on written feedback, and it has a form for you to fill out, letting the person reviewing it know where you're at in the assignment instructions, any feedback you've gotten from your instructor, and it goes to a real person. So that real person goes through your writing and gives you some feedback to consider to make it better before your instructor sees it. The workshops are really fantastic. There's a bunch of different types of workshops available every single day. So if you're really enjoying these webinars, come join us in the workshops. So we have workshops, we have office hours. Office hours are run by peer tutors who are experts in certain areas. So we have like citation office hours, we have some coding office hours, and that's a space to come with questions. And then we also have some peer groups. So if you want to interact and get to know peers better and talk to some peers with an academic coach, that workshop area is a great space to try out. The peer tutoring option is something that we like to make people aware of right now. So if you think eventually you might want to work for SNHU and give back to students like yourself who started off in SNHU 107 and then got really good at this whole school thing and want to teach other people about it, that's who our peer tutors are. They're people who are upperclassmen and graduate students who are real experts in their degree field. They've taken a lot of classes and succeeded in their classes, and they're willing to share that information that they have about the content. So math tutoring is definitely something that they offer, and we have peer tutors in every subject area for the most part, every class, and they have 45-minute sessions live in our platform where you would meet face-to-face and have screen sharing, whiteboard, all sorts of ways to work through problems and challenges that you might be facing. Academic coaching is if you feel like you might need a little bit more support. Maybe you have some particular goals for yourself that you want to work on, or you've noticed some patterns, like your instructor might be saying that your writing needs more detail, or that you're missing points on the rubrics because you're not really sure what's expected of you, or you're having some struggles managing time. So the academic coaching would be, we'd set up a coaching plan. If you think kind of like a fitness trainer, somebody, if you go to a gym, you have some goals for yourself, you want to lose weight or get healthier or bulk up, you'd have that kind of goal that you'd work on with myself or one of the coaches, and we work over that over 3 sessions, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on what you need. And then that frequently asked questions takes you to just that, as well as some of our resources. So we have a bunch of videos, we have a bunch of like explainer sheets and infographics and things that are really helpful for some of the classes you're in as well. Those are all the support options. Thank you for listening to my long monologue on that.
There's so many resources and support here for your success, everybody. Did anybody learn about anything new, like something that you didn't know? Like, I didn't know that SNHU had this, or I didn't know that that was an option for me. That's one of my favorite things when Allison goes through the academic support menu, is there's just so much available for all of you. And it just takes kind of connecting and trying something for you to really realize you have that extra support here. This is one of my favorite questions from Allison. Any common mistakes that students should be aware of, or tips or tricks for success as they work on this final project? Like, what are some common mistakes that y'all see in the written feedback team when students submit these projects to y'all? And then, like, what are just some tips and tricks for their success in general?
So, common mistakes. The biggest one that we see in SNHU 107 and most classes are not going over your assignment before it's submitted. You always want to grade yourself. So make sure you print that rubric out. It is your map. It is what the instructor is going to be looking at when they give you the grade, and they want to give you a good grade. They want to see all the things there. So make sure that you're looking at the rubric. Make sure that you've got all the pieces of the puzzle. You've put it all together the way they want. Follow the guidelines and guidelines for submission, and make sure that it's all there. So right at the end, make sure you print that out, have it open, take a look at it, grade yourself based on what you know your instructor is looking for. Yes, and sometimes what happens is maybe you're waiting until the last minute, and that's what happens, but we're going to talk about that as well. So spelling and grammar are things, adding more detail. So the thing I always remind people is your instructor is not a mind reader. They are seeing your draft for the first time. And I think sometimes when we write for instructors, we think, well, they're the experts. They know what they're talking about. They assigned this assignment. But what they're looking at is, did you understand things, and can you explain it to me in your own way? And so the more detail you can add to things, the less mind reading they have to do. So make sure that you're providing examples. And a good way to check that is, for every paragraph, make sure you write, for example, and include some, and so that they can really understand where you're coming from. Those are the 2 really big ones. Add detail, make sure that you check the spelling and grammar, read it out loud, or have the computer read it out loud back to you. That's a really effective use of the technology, because when you're looking at an assignment over and over again, little spelling things happen, but the computer will read it back exactly. Pass it to a relative or a friend that is there with you and have them read it back to you. That's a really good way to involve other people in your life so that they know what you're learning. Because when you hear somebody else read it, it really points out where you might have to add some clarity. So those are some tips and tricks for success. I think I got them all that I usually say, but let me know if there was any more, Melanie.
No, you did.
Okay.
You got it. You got it perfectly. I
Okay.
saw a couple of questions in the chat, or kind of just some more comments in the chat. There is a lot available here at SNHU. Departments, people that are here for your support and your success. And for many of you, it can be difficult to reach out and ask for help. I like to call it asking for assistance. That's what I call it. You can be a little bit nervous to do it, or you don't want to bother anybody, or you just are kind of, it's new. It's something you haven't done. And so what I always tell students when that is something that they're like, oh, there's just so many, I don't even know where to start, and I don't like to ask for help from the beginning, is start small. Start with one thing, one department that you would benefit from with working with them. So, for example, if you're somebody and you've struggled with your writing academically in your classroom or your assignments, start with using the academic support written feedback services. Start there. If you're somebody maybe that like has just struggled with keeping up with your assignments and kind of need like an accountability partner, you have the academic support team. They have options there with some of their academic coaches. You need a little bit more support or even advising. Like there's departments and people that are here. So you don't have to use them all at once. You guys are already using the SNHU Connect resource, which is by coming to the webinars and watching them and listening to them and being active in SNHU Connect. But start small. You don't have to use them all. Like pick one thing and kind of just start there, because I know it can be a lot. And I have students that tell me it can be a lot. Just know that we're here if you need us. You don't have to use us. We would like for you to use us, but just start small. Allison, what if students procrastinate? Where are my procrastinators? Where are you? My students that wait until the last minute and give yourselves a little bit of anxiety and overwhelm yourself with with waiting till the last minute. I always tell my son is a procrastinator, and I tell him that it's a skill. It's an art form for him to put it off this long. But it happens. Life also happens. Life gets in the way sometimes. So, Allison, what is your best advice if a student procrastinates on their final project, and what are their options? What can they do?
So this is a popular topic, so popular that there is a workshop on procrastination that has two parts that happens to be run by me. Procrastination is a very, very uniquely human thing. We all engage in it at some point. So the first thing I always say is, if you feel like it's a repeated problem and it's really causing you stress and anxiety, that's probably a sign where you want to talk to a coach and get some support and problem solve why it's happening, because we don't want you to feel stressed out all the time. That sounds really hard. If it happens occasionally, that happens. The most important thing, just as the little post-it note says here, is to just do it. You still have a lot of options. If you're submitting up very close to that deadline, you still have a lot of things that you can do to make sure that it's the best work you could submit. So some of those strategies that I talked about before, like having somebody in your house read it back to you, grading yourself on it, that's going to be really important. Still do those things, still double check it. Just make sure you get it done, because some points is better than no points. I think it really makes us sad if you worked so hard and then we don't see that final submitted. So do that for yourself, do that for your instructor, for the people in your life that believe in you. Just make sure you submit it and do the best that you can with it so that it's submitted and you get points. But still do that double checking, right? As long as you're checking it to the assignment guidelines and rubric and doing the best that you can with it in the amount of time that you have and it's done, that's the most important thing.
100% agree. It's just important that y'all get it submitted for your success. That is the biggest takeaway we want to make sure you understand is you've worked so hard. Like, don't stop now. Get that final project turned in, put your best foot forward, and just do your best, right? That's what we really want you to do. Allison, thank you so much. So I saw a couple of questions in the chat. One was there were some questions about citations, which the Shapiro Library is wonderful. Chat with a Librarian is wonderful for those services. In SNHU 107, you do not have to be looking up research articles or journals to do these assignments and to cite them. However, if you use anybody else's work, quotes, images, reference a blog, video, the list goes on and on, that is where it is so important that you give credit where credit is due, okay? So just know, like, you can very simply be answering questions and working through your assignments in SNHU 107 with your own original thoughts. You don't have to have this like research back stuff, but if you want to share things that came from somebody else, you have to cite them. And so if you're stuck on that, the library is wonderful to work with. But also, Allison, correct me if I'm wrong, when they work with written feedback, they'll catch some of those things too, right?
Written feedback, peer tutors can be really helpful, and peer tutors have right now some drop-in sessions on APA citation, especially, and I think also MLA. So whatever citation format, if you need to talk with somebody, 24/7 is also really helpful in that. So we have a lot of things that can be really helpful, and the library guide on citations is super helpful. It has a lot of videos. We worked in collaboration with them, so a lot of the stuff that's in there is actually created by Academic Support as well. So you're in good hands with them. I'm going to go off camera,
Yes,
but
go
I can,
ahead.
but I'll be watching the chat.
Okay, perfect. The other question I saw in the chat was if you have some life events happening, like you're having surgery, baby's coming early, baby came late, let your instructor and advisor know about those life kind of situations, because between your instructor, you and your advisor, y'all can make a plan that's going to be best for you and your success to make sure you can stay on track and finish the term successfully. Okay. I also saw a couple questions about the info-based resource wasn't working correctly for you. If something is not working from a technical standpoint, get with the SNHU help desk. They will be the best resource to help you look into anything that is technical. You could also connect with your advisor too to see if they have any advice, but the help desk would probably be your best place. If you guys have questions, pop them in the chat, and Allison and I will go through and make sure that we are answering those as we go. But I wanted to be sensitive to y'all's time and run through that final project example. So a few reminders for your success. With this project, know how you're graded. Pull up that rubric, look at it, make sure you understand each component. Use the academic success plan template, that final project template, utilize that. Don't forget about your resources, your advisor, your instructor. You have the whole menu from the academic support team that is out there. You have this video that you can come back and watch again. You can reach out to, again, your instructor if you have questions. There's so much support here, but start small, start where you're comfortable. And remember, as you put together this project, this is about you. So be yourself with this project as you go through and answer things. And a lot of these pieces you guys have actually already done. So hold on just a second, and I'm going to go into our SNHU 107 course. And I'm going to pop my camera on quick. Hey, everybody. So everybody can see my screen okay, right? I'm going to make sure that I'm checking my phone in the chat to make sure that you guys can see my screen okay. Looks like you can. Okay, perfect. So your Module 7 final project is located underneath that course menu, Learning Modules, Module 7, right? When you guys go into Module 7, there's a couple things I wanted to point out. First and foremost, there's a discussion in there. This discussion is not graded, okay? So this is an optional discussion. However, this discussion is here so that if you have tips you want to share on how you're putting together your project, or things that really stood out to you this term, or if you have questions about something that are related to the project, this is the space to put it. It's not graded. And also, do not upload or share any pieces or parts of your project. It's kind of just there as an opportunity to share and showcase in case there's questions or you want to share tips for your success. So you'll see a discussion assignment, but it's not graded, okay? Right here is that 7-2 project submission, create an academic success plan. So as always, click on that guidelines and rubric. You guys know when you open that up, it goes over all the things, right? So it's going to remind you like how this ties into your class and what you're doing with those course competencies, but it's also going to kind of explain to you what this assignment is about. And then it's going to give you some directions on how you're going to do this assignment. There's one thing I want to point out, and you'll probably see this in your course announcements too. Underneath the directions, if you read them in the module, you're going to see this little note that says that you'll create, it says in this section, you'll create a timetable. You're not creating a timetable. Just don't pay attention to that. There's no timetable. What you guys want to do is open up the template and fill it out. Okay, that was a mistake in the classroom. It's being fixed for next term, but I just didn't want students to think that they had to make a timetable. If you want to make a timetable, more power to you. However, it is not necessary for this assignment. What you want to do is make sure that you answer the questions that are actually in the template, okay? So you will see all the questions are outlined here. However, all the way down at the bottom, under what to submit, you will find that academic success plan template. That is what you want to click on, open it up, and type right in it, okay? But what I wanted to point out is underneath supporting materials, again, you have the template, but there's a project example. So when you click on that project example, it is going to pull up a PDF document of the assignment, okay? Now, I want to be really clear with this. This is a great foundation for your success to see how you will fill this project out. However, do not copy it word for word. That will be an academic integrity issue. It's just to give you an idea of what this should look like. So we're just going to kind of roll through it, okay? I did see a couple of questions in the chat, so I'm going to pause really quickly. I saw a question about, are templates only used for SNHU 107? No, there are lots of courses that have templates that are associated with them. For these types of webinars for classes, only SNHU 107 has webinars and videos, and also there's a course that's called IDS 105. Those are the only two classes at the university that have learning communities that are dedicated and the videos, okay? So I think I caught up on all the questions in the chat in there. I just wanted to make sure that I got to those. And Allison, yes, you are right. It usually can take a day or two to hear back maybe from the career services team, but they'll get back to you as soon as they can. So let's talk template. This very first question, identify a problem-solving technique or method you have used in a previous situation and explain how it helped you. How might problem-solving methods be different in diverse cultures or fields of work? How can effective problem solving help you in your academic journey? Those are the three questions you want to answer underneath number one. Okay, everybody? So you'll see in this example that this student put, I use the trial and error problem solving method, and they explained the how and why behind it. Details matter in this project, okay? Don't just list something. List it with an explanation, because somebody is reading this that doesn't know you in and out. And so you have to make sure that your whole perspective and your whole explanation is given, okay? So just notice you might have one question, but there's several parts to the question. So pay attention to that as you put this project together. So you'll notice they explain their problem-solving method they like. They also talked a little bit about how project or problem-solving methods might look different in different fields or in different diverse cultures, and then why this is important, right? Question 2, identify your learning style and explain how knowing or learning about your learning style helped support your success throughout this term. So do you remember back early in the term where we looked at our learning styles, week 2? Go back to that, visit it if you don't remember, and you want to list your learning style, like write it out, and then you want to explain how knowing that helped you. You know, what are the pieces and parts of understanding yourself and your learning style led you to be successful this term, okay? Question 3, identify which of the 5 successful habits of an SNHU student have been most helpful for you throughout this course. Explain how those habits have helped you. So again, do you notice it's asking you something, but then it's asking you to explain. Don't forget the details. Those 5 successful habits of SNHU students, do you guys remember where that was? It was that infographic. You just want to go back, you want to pick them, and you want to explain them, okay? Which ones helped you, all right? Question 4, explain how you will stay on track in your courses and overcome interruptions that may impact your schedule. We were just talking about interruptions in the chat here just a minute ago, weren't we? For lots of us, if you have children in your home, they can be a distraction or an interruption. Also, for some of you, it might be cell phones. It might be gaming. It might be other things that happen in your life. Maybe you take care of somebody else, like another adult or a parent, things happen. So this is where you just really want to think about, like, okay, interruptions, especially if there are loved ones, aren't going to go away, right? So what can we do to stay on track and overcome some of those interruptions? You want to make sure that you explain it so it shares your perspective and give enough details, okay? Question 5, this is really important. Pay attention to the details of the questions. Choose 2 SNHU resources. Remember, SNHU resources are departments and resources that are a part of SNHU, okay? And you're choosing 2 social supports. Those are people, places, things outside of SNHU. So you'll notice how this student kind of put it together. They knew they had to have 2 SNHU resources. So they listed them and then explain how they are going to help you achieve your mission and goals and prioritize your time, right? So that's exactly what they did. This person listed their instructor and they listed academic support. Some other options out there might be the career team. It might be advising. It might be the SNHU Connect learning communities. And then outside of class, those social supports. This student listed their partner and explained why, and their best friend. Okay. So notice, make sure you have 2 resources, 2 social supports. Sound good? All right. 6 and 7. This is what I was talking about earlier in this session, where you want to put your personal academic mission statement and those 3 short-term academic goals. Remember, you did this back in week 4. So take a minute, go back to week 4. If you didn't have any changes for either one of those, copy and paste your mission statement right here, and then carry over all 3 goals. I cannot tell you guys how many times I have students that copy and paste and they're like missing a goal or they're missing a mission statement. Like, double check. I got a mission statement, all the pieces and parts. I got 3 goals and all their pieces and parts. Okay. Just make sure you have those details. It's important. And if you have questions on the feedback from your faculty, just send them an email. They will let you know if there was changes that need to be made or anything like that. But if you did good, you should just be able to copy and paste it. If you had changes, check that graded feedback because they probably told you what was missing or what you needed to add. Question 8 is to describe the importance of setting goals on your academic journey. So why is it important to set goals? Explain your feelings. Question 9, explain how you're going to stay motivated to achieve your goals and mission statement based on what you have learned in SNHU 107. What did SNHU 107 teach you? So for this student, they realized, like, I have got to keep myself motivated. I have to have a to-do list for each week, and I know I have resources that I can lean on. And then they gave some details about that. But think about you, like, what and how are you going to stay motivated and keep on track so that you not only finish this course, but you get all the way to the finish line, right? Question 10, explain why an awareness of diversity is beneficial to giving and receiving feedback when collaborating with others. We're talking about feedback right now in week 6. So draw upon what you've learned this week to help you answer number 10 for your final project question. Okay, only 2 left. Number 11, explain why it is important to take ownership, be vulnerable, ask for help, and have an open mind to achieve your goals. Think about why there's power in vulnerability. How could being vulnerable help you? How could reaching out and asking for assistance support your success? Question 12, the last one. What was your biggest takeaway from this course? So what is the number one either tip that you learned, the number one concept that really just resonated with you? What is it that you're like, I am so glad that I learned this in this course? List it, explain it, share it. Remember, as you put this together, write in complete sentences, give the details, make sure you have all the parts and pieces for the questions, double check your work. You could even go from the end all the way back to the beginning. Work with the amazing written feedback service from our academic support team. And just remember that you completely got this. So that is the project. I wanted to make sure I showed you where that is. I'm going to stop presenting so that I can see the chat and answer any questions that might have come up. So hold on just a sec. I wanted to make sure that I got everything for chat. And if you guys just logged in or you missed something and missed it, don't worry. This is recorded. That's why we're here. So it'll be posted here within the next 24 hours. Some other ideas that have been shared too from previous students is they will print the template off and they'll fill it out piece by piece, and then they'll go back and type it up, which is really nice. The other thing for this project is you are more than welcome to start this project early. That's why we do this webinar early. You can definitely start it here this week or over the weekend. You don't have to wait until the start of Module 7. It's just key for you to understand that the week that Module 7 starts, that project is due that Sunday. So don't miss that deadline, okay? I saw the question in here. Since most of the questions are kind of similar to our earlier assignments, can we go and copy and paste? What I encourage you to do is make sure that you answer those questions appropriately. Questions are very similar to some of the previous assignments, but not exact. So make sure you have all the pieces and parts and descriptions for each question as you answer them, okay? That is the biggest thing, because I've had some students that have kind of like built upon things, or they just went to their assignment and they just copied and pasted over and they missed like 2 parts of the question because they didn't see the rest of it. So make sure you have all those pieces. Also, question about references again. You don't have to use references in this. This is your own original thoughts. However, if you utilize any quotes, statistics, research, that kind of stuff, that is where you have to have your references and you have to cite your sources. But this project can also completely draw from you and your own original answers. But if you want to add those things in, you can totally do that. Just make sure that you give credit where credit is due, okay? Let's see what else. Let's see. Okay, y'all, was this helpful? Do we feel better about the final project now? The biggest thing is to make sure that you turn this assignment in. You have worked so hard to not have these points be added into your final score, okay? Remember, I will post this webinar where you have found all the webinars for the whole term so far. It'll be up probably by tomorrow morning. You can go back and watch it as many times as you need to. Remember, you also have the week 6 journal assignment that's due by this Sunday. But if you want to give a start on that final project early, let's do it. Why not? Give yourself a little bit of flexibility in there. Give yourself an opportunity to get it off to the written feedback team. It's part of academic support. And the biggest thing is just like, remember, if you get stuck or you have questions, you are more than welcome to post a question in the learning community for SNHU 107. You can also use that week 7 non-graded discussion area. You can use that, or you can also email your instructor. Do not be afraid to email your instructors. I will tell you, as a faculty member, I would rather have my students email me and ask the questions than to have y'all worry about it and make yourself anxious or be upset about something when you could just send an email, okay? So just know that we want you to reach out. We want you to connect. We're so excited for you. I love being live with y'all. Allison Johnson, thank you so much for spending your Wednesday night with us. I know we went a little bit over, but I think we had good questions that came in. If you need anything, don't hesitate to let us know. Finish week 6 strong. You're going to rock that final project. I'm so excited for you. Don't forget to watch the week 7 webinar, and week 8 is going to be all about celebrating your success as you finish this term strong. So here's my high fives to everybody. You're absolutely amazing. You got this, and I will see you guys soon in the LC. Good night, everybody.